Hello everyone. Over the next couple of weeks in maths you're going to be working on percentages, and in today's first lesson we are going to be representing amounts and numbers as percentages, and this lesson is going to be split into two sections: non-calculator and calculator. So the first section is the non-calculator section, and a type of question that you may get asked is to write the following amounts as a percentage. So the first example we're going to do is 14 out of 20. And what I'm going to do to start off with is write these two numbers as a fraction. So 14 over 20, or 14 out of 20. Now percentage actually means out of or per 100. So I need to make this fraction out of 100. So I know that's going to be out of 100 in my second fraction. So what do I need to do to my denominator to get from 20 to 100? Well, I need to times by 5. So I need to do the exact same thing to my numerator. So I need to times by 5, and 14 multiplied by 5 is 70. So now we've got a fraction out of 100. We've got 70 out of 100, and therefore as a percentage that is simply 70%. So as soon as we've got a fraction with 100 on the bottom, then whatever my numerator is, that's the percentage. So I could say that 14 is 70% of 20. Okay, example number 2, let's do 75 out of 300. So the first thing I'm going to do is write 75 out of 300 as a fraction, and I want to get to a fraction where I've got 100 on the bottom. Well, what do I need to do to get from 300 to 100? Well, I need to divide by 3. So I need to do the exact same thing to my numerator. The top of my fraction I need to divide by 3 as well. And 75 divided by 3 is 25. So now I've got a fraction with 100 on the bottom, and my numerator is 25, so I could write this as 25%. So in other words, 75 is 25% of 300. Okay, now they are fairly straightforward, so now we're going to move on to some examples that are slightly trickier. So let's do 12 out of 30, and I'm still going to write my two numbers as a fraction, so 12 over 30, or 12 out of 30, but this time 30 doesn't easily go into 100. If I do 30 times 3, well, that's 90, but 30 times 4 is 120, so it's not going to be easily multiplied to make 100. So this time I need a middle step. I need a different fraction in here before I make it into 100. So what I need here as my denominator of this middle fraction is a number that goes into both 30 and 100. So what number goes into 30 and 100? Well, I could use 10. 10 definitely goes into 30 and 100. So now this is just a middle step. So first of all, what do I need to do to get from 30 to 10? Well, I need to divide by 3. So I need to do the same thing to my numerator. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. So a different way of writing 12 out of 30 is 4 out of 10. And now I can multiply my 10 by 10 to get 100. So I need to do the same thing to my numerator. I need to times by 10. And this would give me 40. So now I've got a fraction out of 100, so I can write this as 40%. So really similar here, just with a middle fraction, a middle step before I can get to my fraction with 100 on the bottom as my denominator. So I'm going to do one more example for this part of the lesson, and I'm going to do 99 out of 150. So this time I can't simply divide 150 by a number to get 100, so I'm going to need to do a middle step before I get to my fraction over 100. So again, what number goes into both 150 and 100. Well, I could use 10, I could use 25, but I'm going to use 50. So first of all, what do I need to do to get from 150 to 50? Well, I need to divide by 3. So I'm going to divide my numerator by 3 as well. And 99 divided by 3 is 33. And then to get from 50 to 100, well, I need to times by 2. So I need to also times my numerator by 2, which will give me 66. So 66 out of 100, I could say, is 66%. So 99 is 66% of 150. Now it's worth pointing out that in all of my steps here, getting from one fraction to another, I've always used times or divide. I can't add or subtract to get from one fraction to another. I always need to multiply or divide. So these are my 4 examples for non-calculator percentages. Section A on your worksheet is really similar to this, non-calculator, with a couple of worded questions in there as well for you to answer. It's up to you. You can either pause the video now and have a go at section A on your worksheet if you'd like, or if you want to watch all of the video and then do the worksheet as a whole at the end, that's fine. But I'll give you a chance now to pause the video if you want to have a go at section A. Okay, so section 2 of this lesson is going to be some calculator work, and this will be a lot quicker than the first section because the questions I think are fairly easier because obviously your calculator is doing a lot of the work. So same thing again, we're going to write numbers or amounts as percentages, and the first one we're going to do is 16 out of 21. Now if I write 16 out of 21 as a fraction, it's not going to be very easy for me to make a fraction out of 100. So I probably could, but it'll take me a while, and I've got a calculator, so I'm going to use that instead. Now if I do, or type in I should say, this fraction into my my calculator, now this is 16 out of 21, or 16 divided by 21, I get a fraction. So I'm going to press this S to D button, which gives me 0.76190 and so on. 7619 and so on. And to get from a decimal to a percentage, I need to multiply by 100. So if I times that by 100, so 0.7619 multiplied by 100, I get an answer of 76.19, and this is my percentage. So I've rounded it to 2 decimal places, but once I've typed my fraction into my calculator, I get a decimal, and then you times the decimal by 100 to get your percentage. Now example 2 is 148 out of 90. Now this is the first example I've done where the number at the beginning of the sentence is larger than the second number, but that's fine. So I'm going to have 148 over 90, or 148 divided by 90 to start off with. And I'm going to press S to D, and I get a decimal of 1.6444 recurring. Now I've got a decimal, and to get to a percentage I want to times by 100. So 1.6444 times 100 gives me a percentage of 164.4 recurring percent. So that's my second example. As I said, this is the first time we've had a number which is bigger than the second number. And that just means that my percent is going to be greater than 100, and that's absolutely fine. Now for my third and final example, which is going to be 12.3 out of 15. No problem that there's a decimal there, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to do it all in one go. My calculator can obviously do all of this in one go. So 12.3 divided by 15. And instead of writing out my decimal, I'm just going to go times 100. So in my calculator here, I've got it all in one step. 12.3 divided by 15, multiplied by 100, gives me an answer of 82%. Nice round number to finish off. So I'm happy, obviously, with your calculator work for you to do it all in one go. Now that's the end of today's lesson. Your calculator section of your worksheet, section B, will be questions similar to this, where obviously you're allowed to use your calculator. Remember to upload a photo of your work once you've finished the worksheet, so that your teacher can see everything that you've done in today's lesson.